Welcome back, fellow sleuths. As usual, I'm Chris, and we have come to the end of the Sunny journey. For now. Overall, I thought the show was pretty good. It was an interesting watch from a cultural aspect, and I enjoyed the mystery and how I was always questioning, even till the end, how close Sunny had come to personhood. I love Sunny as a character, her wit was fantastic, and kudos to Joanna Sotomura for really bringing Sunny to life and giving her a full range of emotions. It was top tier voice acting, and I appreciated the fresh take on an AI cautionary tale without needing to really reach to the apocalyptic levels to get your point across. However, after watching the finale, I was left feeling a bit frustrated and personally felt it missed the mark, which is a bummer because I was pretty excited after episode 9. If you're interested as to why I felt that way, I will discuss it at the end after our regularly scheduled deep dive. Now, to be clear, this is not going to be a disgruntled rant. I know that type of stuff can get clicks, but we try very hard to stay away from that on this channel and enjoy the series that we watch for what they are, imperfections and all. So let's dig into episode 10, because although the Yakuza and Zen storyline endings felt underwhelming, we were given a bit of a cliffhanger with Masa potentially being alive, and the not-so-twisty twist that Mixxy was a pretender, a song that we hear playing during the first time we meet her and the last time that we see her in the show. The episode opens and ends with the lore of the Setsuban, the danger of the demons getting a hold of the Metal Club and how they'll become invincible. Obviously, this is describing the danger of the Yakuza getting a hold of the kill code, which would make them significantly more powerful and all but impossible to link to the crimes committed by the infected bots. Obtaining the kill code was Hime's obsession throughout the show and culminates in her sacrificing Tetsu's life, someone she presumably had feelings for, in order to elicit the response she needed from Sunny to get the code. She then planned to use the code to eliminate Jin with his own bot, to drive home the point that her plan was the best course of action and gain control of the clan. Yet, in the end, the alter code backfired. Her hatred gets the best of her, and she ends Jin's life face to face, which flew right in the face of her initial motivations. Okay, alright, let's talk about Mixxy. The twist at the end should not have come as a huge shock. Her motivations were suspect throughout the series. With that said, it is hard to pin down exactly when she started to work against Susie. One could argue from the very start, her suggestion to Susie in the cage was to play the long game, seduction then sabotage, which would perfectly describe her relationship with Susie and why she rubbed most of us, including Sunny, the wrong way. Add in the fact that the song The Great Pretender was playing in the background of her first scene and was her favorite song, and you have a pretty strong circumstantial case that she was always playing Susie. But why did she wait till the very end to abduct Sunny? She had other opportunities. For instance, when she found her at the temple in sleep mode, she could have just made her move then. However, if I had to put my money on it, I would say she was playing on Team Mixxy the whole time, with her first instinct being to play the long con, her connections to the more seedy parts of the city, how comfortable she was detaining the Yakuza henchmen, and that well-rehearsed pistol whip. I don't know. Maybe she was influenced by one of the rival clans Hime was worried about earlier in the season. Regardless of the answer, and her signs of remorse in the last scene, she's a backstabber, no two ways about it. But what about Masa? At the end, during his voiceover, he attempts to explain the motivation for his actions by telling Susie that he did it for her, and says that if she's reading this, then maybe he will get the chance to tell her once more how much he loves her. Now, this phrasing could obviously imply that he is alive and in hiding, and there is some evidence to back this idea up. First, Hime seems to lie to Susie about Masa and points to the yellow shoes as proof, but that wouldn't really make sense. Why take out Masa? His face would have unlocked his computer. They apparently had Zen, which gave them more than enough leverage over him, and then why watch Susie at all? Second, why change your life insurance policy to your secret father and not your wife, essentially leaving her grieving the loss of her family and eventually having financial stress, unless you were going to need those funds for something else later down the line. Lastly, it was established that Sunny was very advanced, enough that the technicians were unable to work on her and she was being updated more than normal. They stress her complexity again in episode 10 when the Wish.com Masa is trying to extract the code. So it could be possible that Hiramasa is aware and the friend in Tokyo that he speaks about at the end of the episode that can remove the code is Masa. And that's pretty much my little theory for Masa and the breakdown. So after that, why do I think the show didn't stick the landing? First, I just didn't ever find Susie to be a likable character. I understand why she was like that. She was grieving and she was dealing with baggage from her life before Japan, which was kind of focused on but never really explained. But still, it began to wear on me a little bit throughout the show. She was just hard to root for from the beginning, but all the way to the end. Second, the scenes with Zen fell flat and took me out of what was supposed to be emotional moments in the show. Enough that in the episode 8 review, I thought the last scene may have been in Susie's mind because it felt so distant. The dialogue inside the cage was too casual for the situation they were in and too unemotional for how long they had been apart. I mean, she had thought her child was gone for weeks, but that interaction felt like he had just went to stay at his grandmother's for the weekend and then came back. And when they did escape, instead of finding a cop or just beelining it the hell out of there, she tried to get Sunny back from the Yakuza with her son, who she had just got back. I mean, as a father, we're getting out of Dodge, at least until we can figure out next steps. But mostly, it was Masa's master plan. It just really didn't make sense to me. Hear me out, and if there is something I'm wrong about, please put it in the comments. The crux of the story was that Masa and Zen may or may not have been on Flight 405 when it went down. Throughout the show, it is strongly alluded to that they were not, which is what we find out to be true. Okay, fair enough. A little fake your own death situation? I'm totally game. But then the question is, how did Masa know to use that flight as the cover? Because it only works because the plane crashed. We end up learning that the Yakuza brought down the flight. Okay, I got it. Bad guys doing bad guy things. But why? From the Yakuza perspective, why bring down the plane? If they think Masa was on it and they need Masa to give them the code, then killing him makes no sense. If that was not the reason, then why commit a high-profile terror attack at all? The entire plane crash scenario didn't connect despite being the foundation of the show's mystery. But let's overlook that part. If Masa and Zen didn't get on the plane, where'd they go? Now, many thought it was Masa in the shower in the cabin, which does make sense, although I have always thought it was Hiramasa based on the glasses, the pajamas that were on the railing outside of the shower, and Noriko was calling the do not answer in the scene right before that. So where did they go? How did the Yakuza find them? It was a pretty big question that had loomed over the show the whole season, and it never really got answered. And then boom, they just have Zen, and supposedly axe Masa. Sure, but why? If you have Zen, then you have the leverage over Masa to do what you need him to do, and then avoid all the booby traps that you experience in episode 10. If Hime was bluffing and they didn't have Masa, then how did they get Zen? Where was Masa, and who was with Zen the whole time? Because apparently they asked Zen what words his mom says often so they could alter Sunny's code, which means they had Zen since around episode 5 after they grabbed Sunny from the farm and then kidnapped Susie to help open Masa's computer. So if they had Masa, his wife, his son, and Sunny, what more leverage would they need to get what they wanted out of him? And honestly, you don't even need Susie at all because Masa and Zen are already presumed dead. So no police are going to come looking for them anyway. Lastly, in the end, Masa's voiceover. The letter paints him as the reluctant hero, sacrificing himself for the greater good. But could he not have just wiped Sunny, which was apparently a big issue in episode 10, and then taken his family to the hidden cabin and eventually gotten out of town? Why leave your wife in your chess match with the Yakuza and then give her the one thing they may kill her for? But despite all that, I still enjoyed the show for all the reasons I stated at the start of this episode. It was different from what we usually cover, and that was refreshing. And I commend Apple for putting out something that was a little different and quirky. Would I watch season 2 if it was renewed? Yes, but I would recalibrate my expectations and then hope to be surprised in the end. And that'll wrap up our coverage of Sunny. As usual, we want to hear your thoughts. And if you have a topic we did not cover, drop it in the comments so we can discuss. Lastly, if you like what we're doing, let us and the algorithm know by liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel and we really appreciate it. Until next time, stay sleuthy. Time.